This is a story of a group of friends who accidentally turned one of their nights out into a hell adventure they will never forget. My cousin told me this story, and she is Jenny. Don, Mike, Abed, Jenny, and Olive are friends since their high school days. Now in their 4th year of college, they still see to it that they meet up at least once a week for nights out. One Friday evening, they agreed to go to a famous old house somewhere in Pasig. The old house used to belong to Don's family until his parents decided to sell it to an American couple who would spend a few months in the Philippines every year.
So, how in the world are we getting in if the owners are outside the country?
Asked Mike, the short-tempered one.
Easy, dude. I have a spare key,
quipped John.
What if they change the lock?
Asked Jenny.
They won't. They can't. The locks are antique. It was made by one Spanish artist, and the new owners knew that. They wouldn't dare take off a very important piece of the house,
Don said. He was confident that he was right. After a few more arguments, the group made it inside the ancestral house. The entire house was dark. Not a thing can be seen. Abed clicked his lighter, which barely illuminated the room. The living room set consisted of old Nara furniture and other antique pieces that were covered by white linen sheets. The whole place was clearly dusty. The owners obviously hadn't been home for months.
Nah, you're scared of almost everything. Olive, you're even scared of your own reflection in the mirror,
Mike said. He was exerting an effort to ward off his own nervousness, but somehow his voice was a telltale sign of his own misgivings about exploring the house. A large squeak on the wooden floor surprised the group, and they started running in different directions. Olive and Jenny ran towards the kitchen. Mike and Don ran to the second floor, while Abed was left behind searching for his lighter that was knocked off from his hand. Abed was on the floor when he saw a man and a woman came from somewhere in the living room. The woman was carrying a gas lamp, crying. The man was very mad, speaking in what sounded like Spanish. The woman ran towards the staircase, but the man pulled her by the hair and repeatedly hit her head on the floor a few inches away from Abed. He was surprised that the man had not seen him at all. Abed watched in horror as he took the gas lamp, poured the kerosene all over the woman's body, and lit her up. Help me, cried the woman. Abed's adrenaline rush made him forget his fears. He stood up and took one of the linen sheets covering the furniture. He used the sheet to put off the flame engulfing the woman's body. After a while, everything went dark once again. Abed was catching his breath. The smell of burnt flesh gagged him. He used his lighter to light up the place. He saw that he was totally alone. Jenny and Olive were faring no better in the kitchen.
Be careful, Jenny. We don't know what's in there,
Olive whispered into her ear.
Don't be scared. Look, we can see the kitchen from here, thanks to the luminous full moon outside,
Jenny assured her friend.
Hush, I think something's coming. Maybe it's one of the boys. Quick, let's scare them. Let's hide under the table.
The two girls quickly took under the table. They waited for the boys to go near where they were hiding. But to their surprise, someone wearing camiso chino shirt and a pair of long pants came inside the kitchen. The mysterious man was holding a big bolo. All of a sudden, a woman appeared from nowhere. She was running around the kitchen, crying and begging for her life. Jenny and Olive embraced each other. They were really scared. They couldn't understand what the woman was saying. Then it happened. The woman screamed as the man stabbed her numerous times. Blood was everywhere on the walls, kitchen sink, on the floor. Jenny and Olive closed their eyes and tried their hardest to muffle their screams. Then there was a sudden silence. Mike and Don were beginning to become agitated in the second floor.
Dude, let's find the others now. It's too dark in here,
said Mike to Don.
Wait, dude, I'm trying to locate my old room. I want to see if something's changed.
He pointed to a room located furthest from where they were. Mike followed Don to the room. When Don slowly opened the door, he and Mike saw some gruesome scene they might witness their entire life. The room was lit up by gas lamp. There was a man with blood all over his clothing. He was stabbing two small children, a girl and a boy. The girl was screaming, asking for help. Help us, Daddy's killing us. Don and Mike to run and hide, but both of them were frozen, couldn't move. They were too shocked to react. After this, the door slammed shut, and Don and Mike ran away as fast as they could. When they reached the first floor, they saw Abed, Jenny, and Olive running away from the house. It took them hours to calm down each other. They never spoke about what they saw for many months. A year later, Don's parents came home from abroad. Don asked about the history of the house. His mother told him about a gruesome murder that happened in the early 30s. A wealthy Spanish man killed his entire family after finding out he was losing his business and the house and was virtually poor. The man killed his wife and the 2 kids, but the little girl survived. She was Don's late grandmother. Don threw away his key. He learned that sometimes things are better off being alone.
This is a story I heard at a sleepover at my cousin's house. We lived in Canada, and we were bored of playing Rocket League, so we decided to tell scary stories. My youngest cousin went first with his story, which was not very scary. But my oldest cousin went next, and he told us a story about his experience when he was camping with his girlfriend. It was late, and he decided to go exploring with his girlfriend. Her name is Tessa. They were deciding whether to walk or drive, and he wanted to walk, but she wanted to drive because it was so late. They drove through Lakewood Forest, which was a forest known for having bears and wolves, etc. It was late, around midnight. They decided to go back, and they heard a snarling howl. They looked up and saw in their headlights bloody fangs dripping on this hairy chest. Lupus lycanprubis, werewolf. He drove as fast as he could, and the werewolf grabbed and hung onto the back of their car. He was driving at top speed, and his girlfriend looked back, and the creature was gone. They then arrived back to their cabin and locked all the doors and windows and tried to go to sleep. The next day, they woke up and decided to go to a hotel for the next week. When they moved all their clothes and luggage to the car, he opened the trunk of his car, and what he saw made his heart drop. There were scratches and hair, and the trunk was dismantled, like someone was hanging on, desperately trying to get us. They got packed and went to the hotel, and later that day they turned on the news to see that campers that were living 2 houses away went exploring through the forest around the same time they were driving through it, and the police found 2 dead bodies with animal hair and scratches all over their carcasses. When he saw the report, his stomach dropped, and that was the end of the story. I still think what would have happened to my cousin and his girlfriend if they decided to walk instead.